Okay, so we are recording, so please do not tell me about a body that you buried. Actually, never tell me that, but anyways, it'll be recorded for Brett and 3 people on the internet to see. So we'll try to just stick with what we got to do, and then after that we can turn this off and we can get started on our stuff. Okay, so do we know anything about grooving yet?
No. A little bit.
We do, right? It's just like our parting, right? We're just not going to go down as far. Okay. So let's take, for example, that we have this part, and I'm just going to start this part out like this: %, get caps lock on, call it whatever, G75, step 1. I'm going to go ahead and do a G28, home out my axes. I'll go ahead and do a T101 because I know I'm going to start with it. I'll go ahead and do my startup line of G0, G20, G40, G80, and G99. I'll use my work offset at G54. Go ahead and do a G50 for my spindle stop at S1500. Then a G96.
It should be
800, okay, and then M3. I have not turned coolant on. I'll let you take care of coolant on when we get to that point. Go ahead and do a G0, X 1.1, Z.1. That's going to put you
at the
front of the part. So we'll just say this is the front of the part. So this has brought our tool to this point right here. Okay. So what's the first couple things that we need to do? Face off. So we're going to face this part off, same standard facing that we've done before. Then do we need to OD turn it? Yeah. So it's 900. So what I want, yes.
After that G96, shouldn't you have an S in there?
Thank
No.
you. Yes, yeah, I should.
Oh,
Yay. G96, S800. Yep, thank you. May do a file save right now on that just so you don't lose that. So we'll manually come in, bring it up to Z0, face it off to -30, bring it back up to here, and then I want you to go into a can cycle to do a rough turn on the OD. And on this one, so I want you to do no U or W for your offset. We're just going to go ahead and take it right side. We're only taking 100 thousandths off the outside. So I will do it, and you can kind of go with me on this one. So I'm going to go up to Z0, and then I'm going to do G1, and then I'm going to go to X -30. And put a feed rate there of 8. Okay, so all I did was move up or forward to 0, and then I traveled down to here. Okay, that's where I'm at right now at this point. And then I'm just going to go G0, yeah, X 1.1, Z.1. So now I'm just wrapping back.
Can you just move it to make X go towards where we need to put?
What's that?
Can we just make it where the X moves to where we need it to turn it to size instead?
For the next operation?
For when we turn it.
Right. After, oh, can we just bring it to 900?
Yeah.
Well, I want to rough it. I want to rough it with a cycle, not just one pass. So yeah, if I was just going to take one pass on the OD, I could bring it up to 900, feed it back. But I want to do a roughing cycle on this one so I can control my depth of cut on there. Otherwise, I don't really have much control of depth of cut.
You won't have much at all. Your spring and your tool.
That's what I'm afraid of. Is that if I take one cut from 1 inch to 900. I'm going to take 100 thousandths off of that. I know my part sticks out at least 2.5 inches, so probably more like 2 3/4 of an inch. I can't control any kind of push off or spring out that I get on there. If I do a G71, I can control depth of cut by saying, I can do my first one, maybe I take depth of cut at 50, and I'm like, nope, too much taper on that, and then I could come in and do maybe depth of cut at 20, and then finish it out, make sure that I end up with in a good spot. So that's absolutely why I would want to do that. I'm going to move this up just a smidge. Okay, so I'm back here, so I'm going to go straight into a G71, P1, Q2, no U and W because we're going to take it straight to size. D, I'm going to do it at 25 thousandths, F, 8. So I'm not feeding very fast. So I'm back up here. And so my first line, help me out, it's going to be N1.
G0, X, point 6.
Nope. John's right. It's going to be N1, G0, X 0.9.
So is it that first diameter that you're going to?
Yeah. Well,
It's going to be a rapid move to your lowest point in X for the entire part.
Wouldn't that be 0.6?
well, we haven't.
So we're not-
We're grooving those parts.
Okay.
So just with what this tool is going to do. So this tool is only going down to 900. So it's going to come across, feed all the way across back here. In a couple of passes. That's what this tool is going to do. So rapid move.
Is that big part, are we also doing that with the crew?
Yeah. Yeah, everything that's got those square edges on it, 90 degrees, are going to be done with the grooving tool. Okay, my next move does not require an N number, is a G1. It is, yes, Z to my distance back. How far back?
I would go 2.6.
2.625?
Got to go at least 2.625. 2.5 for my part, another 1/8 of an inch for my parting tool. Okay. Now my next line could be N2, and then I'll just go X 1.0. That would finish that out. So this way, the great thing about by doing it like this, because I know what Sean's saying is we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, and we could have just came up to 900 fed back. But what we want to make sure is how much tool pressure that we're going to have pushing against this. If we find out that 25 thousandths is not enough or too deep, we can adjust that here and now. But if we found it out, if we did it a different way, we found out we had some problems, we ended up adding a lot more lines of code while we're running the part. So this gives us freedom to do some of those things. Okay, so we've got that taken care of. We've turned the OD to size. We've faced it off.
Could you repeat your move and please, Bob?
Outside of the G71,
No, you've just done G71 and went down there, can you do it again?
just one pass to size, or
You whittle it down 25 thousandths at a time, but if you went 100 thousandths and you've got some taper, you can just run through again?
sure, yeah. So the way the cycle works is it roughs, and then takes a pre-finish pass. For us, it would just be a free pass. You could also put a G70 here, G70 P1, Q2, that way you could have a different feed rate. And so no matter what depth you took there, it would take, if you had a little bit of taper in it, you could have that last pass just take out 3 or 4 thousandths.
What we'd have to do.
Yeah, take that, any kind of taper or pushback that you get off of there, any kind of deflection. And probably that would be the case. I mean, this is sticking out 2.5 times its diameter. So probably going to have a little bit of deflection on it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go G0, Z5, and then M01. Give myself a spot for my tool change, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste. So all I did was copy my tool 1. I'm going to make this guy tool 4, 404, my part off tool, my parting and grooving tool. At this point, I'm going to leave my spindle RPM alone.
What button is it to undo what you just did?
Undo what you just did.
Control Z.
I don't.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah, Control Z, Control plus Z. Okay. Does everybody have that? Okay. So this puts our parting grooving tool to this point right here. I would encourage you to really check your inserts out there before you get started on your parts. Also on this one, since we're doing kind of the sequential grooving as we go, your parting tool really only needs to stick out about 600 thousandths out of the blade, needs to stick out about 600 thousandths in front of the holder itself, because it only has to feed into about 500 thousandths. That way, it's not hanging out really far. The further it hangs out, the more wave and floppiness that it gets. We want to try and make these things as rigid as possible. Okay, these grooves are all 125 wide, right?
Yep.
They are spacing of 150 thousandths. So all we have to do is rapid, 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 and then we'll do a feed, a G75, just like we've been parting.
So do we have to do, is there like a certain way that we can tell it how far to go each time, or we have to put in that code each time?
What we're going to do is we're going to just program it back to move back to those Z dimensions. What you could do is you could switch into incremental and go, after this one, you could go back 150 thousandths, 150 thousandths, 150 thousandths, 150 thousandths till you get there. The only problem with doing that, about switching back and forth to incremental absolute, is you do sometimes have a little bit of carryover from the fact that your cycle is in absolute. So for me, I would do this whole thing in absolute. It's just going to be some X moves, a little bit of math, won't be much at all. Okay, so I am going to go back to where? So I'm going to do a G0, and I'm going to go to Z minus what? 275 thousandths. Okay. From there, G75, X, my diameter is 600, right? That does that first groove. So all these diameters are 600, this diameter is 750.
And the G75 you are now? No, G75 is completely different.
What's that?
Never mind, I was saying we're doing like a pecking cycle.
We are doing a pecking cycle. It's actually the same cycle as parting off. So just because it's a parting cycle or grooving cycle, that could be maybe you have a groove that has a point, maybe you have this flat, maybe you have full radius. It can be done for anything. It doesn't really know or care. All right, so now it's set up for this groove here is done. So we've came over and we're back up to here. Okay, so now how far do we got to go back?
555.
What's that?
555.
Z minus 555? Z minus 0.555.
Do we need to have a G0 on there?
Yeah, probably won't hurt.
Will it automatically go back up to,
It will not automatically go back.
what about the X, freaking the X? Or will it be stuck there and then it'll try to move over?
Oh, I see. No. It will retract back to wherever it started at, 1.1.
Okay.
Now,
Lost where the
you can
0.55
okay, stand by and I'll tell you that. So you can probably even get away with not even putting this in. Let's try this. I want you to try this, and we're going to look at it in our simulator and see what it looks like. I want you to try this, because I think that we can probably get away with doing this. And we'll try it in our simulators and make sure. So it really should function just like a drilling cycle, where you just put X, 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 X going across there, or Y, 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 and it should take care of the rest of them. So Sean had a question about where 555 came from. 430 plus 125 equals 555. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that then puts us to here.
The next one's 850,
850?
or 825.
825. So let's go Z minus 0.825.
That 0.96.
It's 0.98.
98.
So what is that one?
1 inch and 105 thousandths.
1 inch, 105.
Yep.
Next one's 150.
What's that?
Next one's 1.150.
I don't know if I can
I would, yeah, it's got to be more than
Yeah, I'm stupid.
C minus 1 point, you say 375?
Yeah.
Okay, 1.375 takes care of that last group.
1.375.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do.
1.375.
Go ahead and put an M30 in and then a percent sign. Save it. Let's see, I think I saved mine as.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
90909. File, save as. 0909. Let's go ahead and run that and see if it took those grooves the way that we want it to. If not, we'll need to jump in there and then make some additional moves. But I'm hoping that that took us all the way over with that. Go ahead and just do this. All right, with simulators on, move back to that 555 and then put in that G75. And then see if it gave you a second groove. And you may actually be able to just put G75 in there.
It did.
By just G75? Yeah, so it remains modal in for the rest of those things, so we can just use that. That'll help us out a little bit.
Wanna just put in G75?
Yeah, so we'll do like that, and then we'll do G75, and we'll go back, G75, one more time, G75. So try that in simulation, see if it gives you 5 groups.
Yeah.
5 groups. Did you get your problem figured out? What was your problem?
I had 4 flash after the Z.
Okay.
So don't you say we could, if we had a repeat of an operation, we could just put in the G code as long as we have the first initial program line?
Yeah.
I have.
If a can cycle or a code is modal, then absolutely. If it is a non-modal command, then you cannot do that. So something that's modal means that it stays the same until it's changed. Then, so if you do a G3 around a corner, essentially you should be able to go to the next corner, do the G3 again, and it should do that same radius. So yeah, a lot of those things are going to stay the same as you go. So there are some commands though that are not going to be modal, so that doesn't. I don't want to say that holds true for every single thing, but it holds true for a lot of things. Sometimes you just have to play around with them. This isn't one that I use in sequential grooving like this very often. This was actually a part that we made in our CAM class a couple semesters ago, and I just transferred it over to here. So I've not made this part in just standard programming yet. I've only made it in a CAM programming.
Hey Justin.
What?
So I'm trying to copy over the program, and I go to memory, and it's not even there. I copy it over.
Is it that one? There's no O.
Hey, Jonathan. So mine makes the first group.
I took one off my list, I just found it.
There's nothing out of line.
Yeah, I don't have that.
No alarms or anything. Yeah, let's just run the part. It's like it's trying. Stand by. Here we go. Yeah, here's the problem. I think. G0. Users. Oh. Hang on. Did yours not do it?
Mine ain't even moving into next Z moves up.
Yours is not moving to the next Z direction.
Yeah, after the first Z group.
Okay, so if you have a problem getting it to step over like that, if you take and put the G75 on that line, okay, and so you should end up with 5 increments of grooves there. But it doesn't seem like that is the same for everybody. Mikhail, are you doing that?
Yeah, I did that.
It did it now?
Yeah.
Everybody has 5 grooves going across?
Yep.
Anybody not have 5 grooves?
Why are like the person's really spaced out?
Because those some now have an X over travel line for some reason.
Oh. Decimal point. You have Z minus 275, not Z minus 0.275. So remember, no decimal point, it goes to its least common possible option. I'm gonna push that down some. Okay, does everybody have 5 grooves? Mikhail, you got yours? Good 5 grooves? Cool. Okay, so next we're going to move into G75 again, but we're going to do some different things with it. So we're going to go in and we're going to go G0, and we want to go to the front of this groove, G0, Z minus
1.655.
1.655 is 1.53 plus 125?
Yeah.
Okay, Z, John says Z minus 1 point, say it again.
655.
655. Okay, from that point, we're going to have to, and if you're not following along in the book, page 40, 41 is where I'm at. Desiree, don't let me forget about the COVID information. Okay, so if you look on page 41 in the book, it may not be 41 in your book, but it should be G75. One side says OD/ID grooving cycle, single pass OD grooving cycle. That's what we just did. We're going to do G75 multi-pass OD grooving cycle. We want to make some 100,000 step overs in order to get our entire part done. So we'll go back and do G75, 75. We're going to go back and we're going to put our diameter. Our new diameter is X.75. And then how far back do we want to go? What's that? 2.3. No, I think, yeah, 2.3. Sorry, I thought it said 2.5. Yeah, 2.3. So Z minus 2.3. And then I is going to be what? Our pecking down. So we can still leave it as the same as before, I.0. Stand by.
This is the multi-pass?
Yeah, multi-pass.
It doesn't really give me all that much information on my page.
Let's see what can I see your page? It's so you need to use both those pages together. It's probably the page before that as well. And so it gives all of the, at the top there, it says X, Z, U, W, I, K, D, F. So the only thing that we're adding to this one is K. And K is going to be how much we want to shift over each time. We don't want to, even though our grooving tool is 125 wide, if we go over 125 each time,
There's gonna be a slight sliver.
yeah, there's going to, or at least some kind of scallop.
So we just wanna go, what, 100?
Yeah. What we don't want is that. So we're going to just move over 100 thousandths at a time. So our K can be 100.
So wait, why is it X.75?
Because our diameter is 0.750 thousandths.
Oh, duh.
Yeah, so we move up to a different, larger diameter on this one. Right there, 750. Okay, and then we got feed rate. Feed, we'll just still do 3. Now on this one, we'll, just for redundancy, we're gonna do, after we're done, G0, X 1.1, and then maybe do a Z 1 inch or 0.1, then really should be done with it after that. Push that over a little bit. So if you would, at some point soon, do a file save as, or a save. And then if you're already doing this in the simulator, that's fine. Or if you're doing this in the laptop, then just transfer that over. And then we'll see what that looks like. That should make a wider groove.
Yep.
Look good?
I'm still entering stuff.
Okay, no problem.
I'm still got part of it.
Okay, don't be afraid to use. You've already got it in the simulator, right?
Some of it,
Okay, so you've got the 5 grooves in there?
yes.
It's just 1, 2, 3 more lines to make the whole rest of the program.
3 more lines for that back part?
Well, you got your 5 grooves here. And then I actually think I've got maybe too many in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's, yeah, you've got this 1, 2, 3, 4 to get you back in the back part of that.
My back part did like a lot.
Well, I know, but it should be, well, I'm saying to add it from what you had before you went into that white groove.
Yeah.
It's 4 more lines. It's not 4 more steps in the program, it's 4 more lines of code to write into the program from what we had a minute ago.
So on my thing, it kind of shows like the last one is a bit like has smaller movement. Is that what we'll intentionally do to make it where it doesn't go past?
Yeah.
Do you have something that then kind of looks like this? So it does these 5 grooves, and then it comes over and goes rapid, this way, this way, this way, this way.
And then one's like literally like animating.
Yeah, I mean, that very last one, just however the math works out, may be a much smaller pass.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah. And then it should go up, and then return back to where it came from. After everybody's got that, Shay, you got that? You haven't crashed your simulator yet? Ashley, you got that? Desiree, you got that? John, you got that? Sean, you got that? Yes. Skylar, you got that? Terry, you got that? Kelly, you got that? Wyatt, you got that? Sweet. Almost there. No rush, just make sure you get it done.
I'm only showing one pass down in that white groove.
You have the K in there? So your G75 should be X 0.75, Z minus 0.23, I 0.05, K 0.1, F 0.003.
K.
Yeah, K is going to be your step over or your incremental movement in X. Z, sorry. Because K is incremental Z.
So can we like do like both of the like make both of the programs and then tomorrow like make the parts?
No, we need to make sure that we've mastered this before we move on to G76. So tomorrow's step 2 is a combination of grooving, so turning, facing, turning, grooving, and now threading.
I'm not sure.
Let's look at it.
Oh, and a bit of a radius.
Mhm.
You're busy.
So for the part off, we go to 2.5 plus 1.2.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you've got, those are shallower grooves. So here's your OD turn, and then you're gonna feed down groove, 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 and then groove, 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 groove. Yeah.
I just thought.
Yeah, so that would make things go faster, but the problem is if we create all programs and then run parts, if we've messed up somewhere or missed a step, then we end up missing that step for all of them. So we'll cover our step 1 today, and then we will, what time is it? It's 12:30. We'll see how much time we have. If we can, I don't have a problem moving on to step 2 today. I know that you guys are pretty eager to get out there and do some mopping as well. So we could do that. We'll see kind of how time plays out. And then we can definitely move into G76, which is just going to be a combination of everything that we've done plus threading. Then that should move us along. Because I know your desire is to be here as long as you can with me all the way till the 14th. That's fine. But somebody probably wants to get out of here a little early. I know not you. But that'll get that person out if they want out. Okay. Is this all we need for this program?
No, we need to part it off.
Have not parted it off. Parting off is easy now, isn't it? I mean, gosh, it's like a no-brainer. I'm not even going to program that with you guys. I'm going to go ahead and so here's what I would do. I would just suggest this to you. I would have it go back to 1 inch M01 so I can stop and check everything. Then I would have it go back, wrap it off, and wrap it back, and then part off. Okay, so I'll walk you through doing that. Because if you just part it off from back there, you won't necessarily know if you got a good part or not. So I might do this. So I've got going back up to X of 1.1, and then I've got going back to Z of 1 inch, and then I might put an M00 or an M1.
So we could do either an M0 or M01.
Yeah. And then I would probably go ahead and put a whole new startup line here, just to be on the safe side, like that. And then I would go back Z minus 2.625, and then I would do G75, X minus 0.03, I 0.05, F 0.003. This one I'm going to lower my RPM down to 300 though. Then I'm going to do a G0, Z1, and then probably a G28, and then bring my M30 back up. You don't have to do it just like that. You do a combination of that if you want to. If you feel super confident in your part, you can go ahead and just part it off from back there. When you come up and need 7 pieces from me, I will ask you, have you been stopping to check your part before you part it off? And so these are just some redundancies, like this additional startup line, or startup lines, so that I can come in there, restart that in case I go, stop my spindle, check all my grooves, I need to make some adjustments in my grooving, and then I can start it back up from that place. So you can do any kind of combination of that. So get that to a happy place, and then part it off, simulate it, make sure that you're happy with your simulation. You're happy with your simulation?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's let everybody get caught up, and then we will choose some numbers.
You talking about COVID?
Oh, thank you for the COVID reminder.
Oh, good.
I'll let you guys get done.
I swear, if it's some more crap,
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be, you'll be happy about this. I
if it-
We
think.
got our shots,
If it-
I mean, no matter.
Are they taking
I ain't getting none of those shots because
Are they taking the masks away?
Don't steal my thunder. There's no thunder to steal, man. So just, we'll let everybody get caught up, and then, that way I can just say this once, and then,
Don't have to be a freaking broken record.
right, just keep me from saying it. You may have gotten an email on this. If you haven't, you probably will see something soon on it. So remember, our primary communication for you is through email. So if you're not getting emails through SFCC, you want to make sure that you do that. So,
Yeah, I went to IT, found like an authentication thing going on, and they had me switch to my Gmail account stuff, and make use my school email and add it to that.
cool.
So that's kind of what I've been messaging you off on.
Yeah, that's totally fine. You good?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I was.
Wyatt, you good?
I think so.
Ashley, you good? Shay, you good?
Yes.
Skylar, you good?
Just a second. I'm good up until the part off, I haven't checked the part off yet.
Why not?
Cause
Cause you what?
I'm a failure.
You didn't have
Your
to say it
words.
out loud, we were.
Yeah, remember, we are recording. So that's forever. Yeah, by a USB, man. Sean, you close?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm only a few lines off.
Alright, well, we'll let you guys get caught up, and then we'll do this.
Do a thing. Alright.
You good?
Yep.
Okay. Skylar, how you look?
That's not very sad.
I ain't getting none of their COVID vaccines because I don't trust them.
Totally up to you. You good?
Good.
Okay. So, effective June 1, face coverings will be recommended but not required for employees or students in indoor spaces at all. So unless something changes within the county of Pettis, and then if you're going to have a group of students that is more than 25, be in close proximity for more than 4 hours, they may ask you to do face covering for that time, but at this time it's not required. For everything else is pretty much the same. All those other things still stay in place though, so if you feel sick, if you think you have it, if you've got that, something else, whatever, don't come and lick all the e-stops for everybody to get sick. If you're sick, stay home. We'll try to always, trying to get better at recording. So if you miss a day, we'll do our best to record as often as possible. But so if you're sick, stay home. If you're just sick of school, get up and come. And so anyways, you should see June 1, those restrictions go away. So that's a good thing.
I have done nothing.